everyone. Big time football talk here. Brandt Parshall coming to you from the studio in Jackson. We're going to get to one of the teams I thought had one of the more underrated drafts, and that is the Cleveland Browns. The Browns started off with taking Jedrick Willis, a very talented tackle from the University of Alabama. Many considered him to be the best player on Alabama, believe it or not, this year, even better than Tungavailoa and Jerry Jeudy, which is saying a lot because both those guys went in the first round. Jedrick Willis is a great pick for the Browns because that feels like an immediate need for them. He's a guy that should make an impact right away and should start for the Browns. Jedrick Willis, big physical frame, very fundamentally sound. He's a pro-ready guy, and Cleveland has needed offensive line help badly, and tackles have been definitely a position of need since losing Joe Thomas. So I think that's a outstanding pick right there for the Browns. And then the second round, they took Grant Delpit, the phenomenal safety from LSU, which was interesting because if he doesn't get hurt, Grant Delpit likely would have been a top 10. Well, before this year, he was had top 10 pick potential. And without the injury, probably, I think he would have been top 10. He was Jim Thorpe winner, the best defensive back in college football. But injuries really hurt him this year, and he struggled in tackling. But I really love Delpit. I think he's a guy that you instantly will improve others around him. That brings that type of leadership. Delpit, the safety, should be a phenomenal pick for LSU or for Cleveland. I think he'll make an impact and keep improving that already talented Cleveland Browns defense that hopes to get Myles Garrett back as well. They also took Donovan Peoples-Jones, the receiver from Michigan, who I think was one of the biggest steals in the draft. Peoples-Jones, highly touted coming out of high school, went to Michigan, but obviously the Michigan offense struggled, and Peoples-Jones, the production wasn't there, and he struggled with drops at times, but I think this is still a pretty darn good pick by the Browns because Peoples-Jones at 4.48 of the combine jumped out of the gym. I think he broke the record for vertical jump. So if he can just be more consistent catching the ball, he should be that number 3 receiver for the Browns this year. So love the Peoples-Jones pick to go with the Jedrick Wills and Grant Delpit picks. So the Browns had stopped with those 3 guys there, that would have been phenomenal. They'd have a phenomenal draft already. Added some other guys I like. Jordan Elliott, the defensive tackle from Missouri. And they also added Jacob Phillips, a linebacker from LSU. Phillips, a guy that played a key role in LSU's defense, really becoming a championship caliber this year. And then next I want to get to some of the top guys I think will make an impact in year one. First is Chase Young from Ohio State. Chase Young is obviously a guy that is just going to be Hall of Fame, Pro Bowl, whatever. Probably both. Definitely both, I think. Guy that's just going to come in day one, and the Redskins defensive line is going to go from good to one of the best, if not the best in the league. Chase Young, a versatile pass rusher, great against the run, big, strong, fast. Chase Young, just a guy that could take the Redskins for defense from good to could be something special this year. Chase Young, love this pick. Watch out for Chase Young in year one. Number 2, Jeff Okudah for the Detroit Lions. Excuse me, as I know, this was a pick that Detroit needed. Since getting rid of Darius Slay, they needed a guy that could come in and play good man-to-man coverage, and that's something I believe Okuda will do. He's proven great man-to-man quarter. He's a big, long, lengthy, physical corner. It should greatly improve the Lions secondary that definitely needed some improvement. Hopefully Trufant stays healthy. Him and Desmond Trufant, that could be quite the cornerback tandem next year in Detroit. Heading now to our third rookie that I think will make a big impact is Derek Brown. Derek Brown going to head into the Carolina Panthers that are now coached by Matt Rule, coming over from Baylor. Brown is a guy that should help their defensive line tremendously, that is just lost Gerald McCoy who to free agency. A heck of a compliment to go along with Kawan Short there in Carolina. That Carolina defense looking to improve, that struggled a little bit after being so dominant for that several year span when before Luke Kuechly retired, and they obviously lost some guys to free agency. But Derek Brown, I think one of the most pro-ready guys because he started 4 years at Auburn. He comes in, I think he's 22, 23 years old. So he's experienced and more of the polished product than some of the younger juniors and redshirt sophomores that have come out. So look for Derek Brown to make plays early for Carolina. Derek Brown, defensive tackle for Carolina. The number 4 guy was one of the more interesting picks in the draft. The Oakland Raiders selecting Henry Ruggs over some pretty good options at receiver. Ruggs is a blazing fast receiver, 4.27 at the combine. We have Ruggs on this list as a guy that would make an impact because we know that Mike Mayock and Gruden are going to want to get him the ball in a variety of different ways, whether it's downfield, underneath. A guy at Alabama that did a lot of his work underneath and not necessarily a lot as much as you'd think downfield for a guy that's got blazing fast speed. But so look for Ruggs to make big plays both underneath and vertically, and greatly help out the Raiders offense and give Derek Carr another weapon alongside with Renfro that they desperately need and were missing from the Antonio Brown whole ordeal. Next guy on the list we have is Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who became the first running back off the board in the draft to the Kansas City Chiefs. Clyde Edwards-Helaire was a phenomenal player last year for LSU and a key piece of the national title run, as we discussed before. Edwards-Helaire is a quick, shifty, kind of a bowling ball, tough player. Made a lot of plays for LSU, both in the run game, passing game. Edwards-Helaire is going to be a guy that Andy Reid is going to want to use as like a kind of a chess piece in that offense, use him to create mismatch and obviously become quite a go-to target and a safety blanket for Patrick Mahomes in the offense. So look for Edwards-Helaire to get the ball in a variety of different ways for the Chiefs in his first year. Heading to the Kansas City Chiefs. Next guy on the list we got is T. Higgins from Clemson. Higgins was very productive. Very productive at Clemson. Great body control. He's got good size. Doesn't have like elite speed, but Higgins is a guy that will be definitely a target for Joe Burrow in the first year in a Zach Taylor offense that features 3 wide receivers. So look for Higgins to make an impact in that Cincinnati offense, and look for him to emerge year one as Joe Burrow's number 3 and potentially even number 2 target with A.J. Green, Tyler Boyd, Higgins. That could be quite the tandem right there. And even the Bengals got Mixon, too, on the backfield. So Joe Burrow definitely, despite offensive line question marks, Joe Burrow's definitely got some weapons to work with next year in Cincinnati. So look for T. Higgins to be one of those main guys.